10:54 is the time. Hayley is in Northampton. Hayley, what made you pick up the phone?
It's been a bit of a triggering week. I hate to use that word, but...
Oh, don't hate to use it. It's an important word. Just because people like the Daily Mail have ruined it doesn't mean it should lose its resonance.
Well, it's just, I'm not a very easily triggered person, but I'm really finding it hard. I used to work in Parliament for a few years, and until very recently. And I'm finding it quite difficult listening and hearing male MPs preach on about these aspects of misogyny and sexism, knowing full well how they behave. And in the public shame aspect, that is something I experienced when I tried to complain about these people, and I was told, you'll never work again. I was 21, 22 when I started working in Parliament, and I was told I wanted to be an MP at the time. My God, I don't want to be one now. And I was told, if you want to get on the candidates list, you have to be quiet about this stuff. I was told that. And it's in a way, it is a public shaming. I couldn't speak about it because I was scared of losing my career.
Anne-Marie Trevelyan would presumably have an inkling that sort of thing was going on, and yet it doesn't necessarily undermine her advice that rather than private complaint, you could have employed public humiliation?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just, I think the main issue there is...
I'm very sorry, by the way. I'm very sorry that you had to go through what you went through.
In a way, it's interesting because I've told a few friends about sort of how it is in Westminster, and they've been so horrified. And I've said, well, I don't understand why you're horrified. It's normal.
Right.
And in my current workplace, I went into it thinking it's normal to be screamed at and to be shouted at and to be, frankly, touched up. And they have been so horrified in my current work, that I would ever think that was okay.
Gosh.
So, and it's across both sides. This is absolutely not a party issue.
No, I'm sure.
But it's so bad, and I cannot see another tweet from a male MP when I know a lot of them what they get up to. I mean, it's just annoying me at this point.
And how likely is it that the ones who don't get up to it could be supremely unaware of the ones who do? I mean, is it? I mean, presumably it's quite surreptitious, or if someone has assaulted you or groped you, actually that's tautologous. If someone has assaulted you, then they haven't done it in the spotlight, so to speak, or am I being naive?
I mean, when I was very new to Parliament, about 5-6 years ago, I encountered an MP coming back from a busy lunch or dinner. It was about 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And I was in gym gear. And he lifted up my top. He lifted up my top and said, what are you wearing? Oh, you can't wear this in Parliament. Do you know you work in a palace?
Right.
And lifted up my top and grabbed my waist, like my bare skin. Oh. And I remember being so horrified, like not shaking, but very sort of still. And I remember saying, I complained about it afterwards to a woman, and she said, if you want to be on the candidates list, you can't say this. Seriously? And it's just so frustrating. I'm just so sick of it. And this was an MP who, to be quite honest, has been in the Commons for a very long time. And I think they're just so sort of entrenched in this way of thinking that it's not weird to them. And in a way, I don't think they have bad intentions with it.
I know what you mean by that.
Normal to them.
I do know what you mean by that, and anyone who doesn't, it is. It's what the word hyper-normalization means, isn't it? It doesn't occur to them that what they're doing is inappropriate because it is so commonplace.
Yes, massively.
So you're telling us, I think, that Westminster is exceptionally bad for this sort of thing, and the argument that I've heard from some MPs this week, actually, that this kind of thing goes on everywhere is probably not. I mean, while it does go on everywhere,
it doesn't.
There's something,
not on the scale of Westminster, not anywhere near. And I've been thinking about it this week because it's been very topical.
Yes,
I've been thinking more about it. And I thought, is it the boozy culture? And I don't think it is. I think there's something about MPs when they get into that position of power. I mean, everyone changes a little bit, I think, when they get some power, but. It was really bad. It was a really bad work environment. And I've told fellow females not to apply to jobs there because I think it's so toxic.
I can't blame you for that. I think I'm understanding you. And also the pervert who mentioned it's a palace. I've spoken in the past about it's like Hogwarts. I don't spend much time at Westminster for reasons that I think are probably fairly obvious. You never know who you're going to bump into, Hayley. But the Hogwarts nature of it's a magical place, and in many ways, and the history and the tradition probably does imbue in everybody there. And the more power you have, if you're an MP, you're going to feel this a lot more than you would as a researcher. But as a researcher, some men would feel it as well. It probably does imbue a kind of hyper entitlement, almost a masters of the universe type mentality that translates into the sort of behaviour that you endured.
Well, it's in every way, not just sexual harassment, but like in the coffee queue.
Yes.
MPs tend to jump in the coffee queue. Yeah. I used to use the Parliament gym. I was on the treadmill. An MP literally came up to me and said, "Off, I need to use it."
Wow.
And I remember being like, I remember the MP, and it's absolutely not the type of MP you think it would be.
Right.
But they all get a bit like that. Yeah. They all get this power, and there's nothing I can do. Genuinely, I can never speak back without fear of losing my job and subsequently ruining my entire career, because Westminster, you advance there on word of mouth.
Yes, of course.
Reputations, the whole thing. And I remember one time I was walking in Portcullis House and an MP messaged me on WhatsApp saying, "I really like what you're wearing today." And I had never given this MP my phone number. And I asked him how he got my phone number. And there was a bit of a hostile response, and he kind of kicked off a little bit. I said, "Well, I didn't give you my number, this is a strange message to get."
Yeah.
And I found out later he told MPs after that I was trouble and to be avoided. And it's really difficult. Like, I don't know how anyone could navigate this situation, really.
Nor do I. I wouldn't even begin to speculate on how you could. Can I ask you one thing? And I'm delaying the news a bit, for which I make no apology. But you said very adamantly, "I don't want to be an MP anymore."
No,
why not?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
There's a load of aspects, but it's such a. I worked there, for a few years, and I've seen MPs' mental health go down the drain, and the booze culture, and they become nasty people. They go in, I think, with really good intentions. I don't think anyone goes in there with bad intentions, and they come out troubled people. And I don't want to be anywhere near that.
Are you in a better place now than you were when you were in Westminster?
Yeah,
mentally?
There was at the end of my time in Parliament, I cried almost every day. It was a really, really negative place, and I'm so happy not to be there anymore. And I just, if I'm being frank, really discourage any woman from going in there.
That's terrible, and I know you know that's terrible. But it's not a criticism of you; it's a description of a terrible reality, isn't it?
Yes.
I've got one final question, which I hope isn't appropriate. But would people encountering you think of you as a robust young woman, a tough young, the kind of woman who could behave in the way that Anne-Marie Trevelyan describes?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I thought.
And that's why I think I lasted as long as I did in there. I think most women, if you look at the staff retention, they don't last more than 12 months. Like, it's difficult.
Shameful, absolutely shameful. Thank you for being so honest with us. I'm so sorry that you went through what you went through. I mean, I don't want to patronise you, but I do wonder whether we need people like you in Parliament to deal with some of the problems that you've just described. Anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Hayley, have a great weekend. And as with all our callers this hour, I'm so sorry that you were in such a position to make such a powerful contribution to the programme. It's 3 minutes after 11 now.